He actually covers the Steelers for ESPN. He talks to both sides, the Steelers organization and Le'Veon Bell's camp. So at this point, Jeremy, what do we know?
Well, Diana, good afternoon. And the Steelers have been formulating their plan for weeks, and they are making budgetary considerations for that $14.5 million tag. They are ready to use it, and based on asking around the league and people around the building, I do expect them to use it. It could be closer to March, though, because the NFL Combine coming up next week. That's typically where the Steelers like to do a lot of their business. That would give them a chance to meet with Bell's reps and set the groundwork for a potential deal in the weeks and months to come. And for Bell, really, guarantees are going to be crucial here. You know, you can make a big deal about per year averages, but Bell's told me that the structure of this deal, particularly in the first couple years, is going to be important. The Steelers typically don't give a lot of guarantees beyond that signing bonus, and then it's just sort of play as you go, pay as you perform, and so they're going to have to find a sweet spot there coming up.
Of course, he just turned 26 years old, and you know, Jeremy, just based on what you know about the Steelers, you've been covering them for years. Who do you think blinks first here?
Well, Diana, that's a great question. This might be unpopular considering teams usually win over on running backs, but I think the Steelers might blink first here for a few reasons. Bell has been clear, and you pointed it out a little bit ago. He's told me multiple times, I want to be a standard bearer for the running back market, a sagging market. He said, I've never had this much money in my life as I already have now, so I'm going to do this right, and I'm going to capitalize on my position. And he knows that the Steelers know that any deal they structure, they can probably get out of in a few years with a minimal cap crunch if they do it with a big signing bonus that they can sort of maneuver in 2019 or 2020. And so he knows they also don't want to repeat what happened last year where he's missing camp and they're not fully loaded in August. So they want to be ready to go with no distractions, and that's both sides.
You know, they definitely don't want to go through that again. That's our Jeremy Fowler. Thanks so much, Jeremy. So we bring it back here on the desk, and I want to start with Bill Polian, who's had to make decisions just like this in the past. Bill, how do you see this getting resolved?
Well, I think in the end he's going to play on the tag because I think they'll probably overreach a little bit. But there's no question that the Steelers are not going to let him go out to the market. And with a running back, if you look at it from the club's perspective, they have short careers. So for every year that you have him under contract and playing with no risk to the future in terms of dead money, that's a pretty good year. So the number may be high, but there isn't a lot of residual with it. So that's the Steelers' point of view. From his point of view, he wants to arrive at a number that gives him long-term security and big money. And the idea of setting the running back market, that's got to get out of the equation, I think, before you make a deal, because a long-term deal carries with it the very real potential of dead money. Plus, Le'Veon has off-field issues which have to be addressed in the contract. That makes the contract harder to negotiate.
Yeah, so what are the challenges in terms of giving Bell a long-term deal for this front office?
Yeah, I think Bill just kind of really touched on it. There's a number of them, right? One is the financial risk that comes with giving a large signing bonus to a player here who you don't know whether or not he is going to toe the line and do the things that are necessary to keep himself on the football field, number one, with his decision-making. Number two, every year that he plays, every carry that he racks up has a wear and tear on his body. He's already shown that he's susceptible to injury, just like every other player, but Le'Veon has missed time because of it. Okay, so those are the challenges. Number three, look, I think every front office inherently is value-driven, all right? And I don't think anybody goes into free agency, whether it's with one of the players that they love or not, and goes, hey, you know what, we're willing to set the market. We just want to set the market for this guy right now, even though they love him. And I can tell you from the people who I know in Pittsburgh, they love this guy on the football field. They love this guy on the football field. But people are also look at it from the other side as far as doing the best deal for the club, and they go, there's been a couple young running backs that have come into the league here that have kind of taken the league, I don't want to say by storm, but have caught people's attention in terms of being possible replacement types in terms of options. When you look at what Alvin Kamara did in New Orleans and you look at what Kareem Hunt did, I'm not going to say that's going to color or affect their judgment to the point where it will hinder them from getting a deal done with Le'Veon, but you know that will be in the back of their mind that, look, there's going to come a point in time where they have to say we can't go any further. We just can't. We just don't know where that is right now. What does Le'Veon really want? How far are the Steelers really willing to go?
And it's a unique situation and a unique player, and there are a variety of issues, as you mentioned. Jeremy mentioned one that is the way the Steelers do contracts. They put all that guarantee in the signing bonus. They don't like to guarantee the year-to-year paragraph 5 salary. And as you mentioned, with a player like Le'Veon Bell, who has a history of not always being available, do you want to load up that signing bonus all the way and be out that money? The other thing is this notion of resetting the running back market. He's talking about destroying the running back market. I mean, you could get a $9 million a year contract, and that would reset the running back market. The highest paid right now is Devontae Freeman at $8.25. But that's way less than what Le'Veon Bell wants. I mean, he's not going to take $9 million a year. So he's talking about something that goes well beyond that into the $12, $13 million a year range or more. And in that case, I just don't see the Steelers making that kind of upfront commitment. And I also don't see the Steelers making an exception to the way they structure their contracts. And that's why I agree with Bill. And based on the conversations I've had with people around the league and close to this situation, I think the expectation is he's franchised again.
So you think he's going to get tagged. And so, Bill, you agreed with him that you think as well that he will get tagged.
I think if there's a way to make the deal where both sides meet in the middle or even a little on the Le'Veon side of the line, the Steelers will do it because they value his contribution, but they're not going to tear up their entire approach to things just to get him done, particularly with a running back whose career could be over like that.
Especially when you look at who just won the Super Bowl. While the Eagles had good running backs, they didn't have an elite quarterback. The Patriots in the past, they didn't have an elite running back. They had good running backs. So you can see what they're thinking there. So now time for panic or patience here. So we bring up the Super Bowl. Can the Steelers win a Super Bowl without Bell? Dan, are you panicking? Okay. So you're panicking.
Don't be so quick.
They haven't won it with him. So, I mean, but I think, look, this is a guy, we talk about what the Eagles did. The Steelers' offense obviously different from the Eagles, and it runs through Le'Veon Bell. It's a 450 touch per year guy. Without him, they'd have to change everything. And he is, he makes a good point about being unique, about being a receiving option for them, an important one, in addition to being their bell cow running back. So, no, I don't think I don't think they remain a top Super Bowl contender if he's not on the team. I expect that he will be on the team, but if something happens and he weren't, I don't think that's something they could just fix overnight.
I'm going to be a little contrarian with you, and I'm going to give you a little bit of an unorthodox argument saying this. You know what? I'm going to go patient on this. I think they can win a Super Bowl without him simply because, one, they haven't won a Super Bowl with him. Two, because really the problem is not on offense. And I think they could get enough production on the offensive side of the football if Le'Veon wasn't there, although he is a huge component. Look, I'm not trying to discount his production at all. But until the Steelers do something either philosophically / structurally and personnel-wise in the secondary, they're not going to win anything because they can't stop any team that can throw the football. And that's just a fact. So until they do that, I'm going to remain patient. If they don't have him, to me, it doesn't really matter.
So in other words, they could use that money that they use on Bell to fix that defense. So you're going to be patient on that.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Bill. Panic or patience? Can they win without him?
That's my guy.
Nope. Your guy.
That's the way they're constituted right now. They would have to replace Le'Veon Bell with someone of equivalent talent. That someone isn't out there. So while I agree with Lou that they have more serious problems on defense, they're not the old Steelers on defense by a long shot, and Shazier is probably not coming back. Thank God he's okay, but he's probably not coming back to football. So as presently constituted, Le'Veon Bell makes up for those defensive shortcomings. That's why they made it to the championship game and got blasted by Jacksonville, who really couldn't throw the ball very much. The whole defensive structure is not what it used to be by a long shot. So they need Le'Veon Bell to have any chance.
Yeah.
If they don't have him, then it's a reset really throughout the whole organization.
Yeah, Jacksonville certainly has an elite running back in their organization. Meantime,